On this episode of Cell Block 6.
I would rather deal with 150 men than 3 women.
An angry young woman pays the price for a hot temper.
He started strangling me, so I went at him.
In jail and with child.
Being pregnant and incarcerated is just miserable. We have cravings that we want and we can't have.
A young mother addicted and behind bars again.
I have been arrested 6 times. This time was for my 3rd DUI.
While a promising young college student struggles with her sexuality.
It's a sin, but I can only be what I am.
We're all here with a goal. And our goal is to get out.
It's midnight. Ground zero at Georgia's Gwinnett County Jail. Every year, more than 7,000 women are processed here.
Don't move, don't blink.
Do not hit the door again, or we will be coming any force against you. If you come off that wall, I will take you.
The women incarcerated here ran away from somewhere. They're charged with everything from shoplifting to murder and can stay for a day or years. This is a place where the future looks good, only if no one remembers the past.
I'm Butch Conway, the Gwinnett County, Georgia Sheriff.
It's a little harder to supervise female inmates. There are a lot of temper problems.
Okay, I'm not the one who did this to you. You did this to yourself.
I didn't do anything to myself.
Okay,
Don't tell me
that's
what
fine.
I did to
You have
myself.
a
I didn't
chance.
do anything.
You have a
It's
chance.
melatonin. Look it up.
They gossip, talk.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me, man.
I know all about it.
I would rather deal with 150 men than 3 women.
Ma'am, do not spit in my face.
It seems like they're just not happy unless there's something going on. Occasionally, situations arise where deputies have to step in and take control of the situation. An inmate can be very unpredictable. Things can go bad very quickly. The most emotional time for any inmate is the first 72 hours. They're walking into a holding cell where they think everybody in there is a monster.
Jail's like high school. It's drama.
And the drama begins the moment an inmate arrives. It's 2 a.m. Police just answered a call about a domestic disturbance.
I'm Danielle. I am 21 years old. I have a lesson to learn.
Her mother called police after Danielle attacked her brother.
Turn around and face the way down. Anything sharp, you can hold me, sit and hug me.
My little brother and I were fighting, and he was cussing at me and started calling me names, so I went at him. You know, you don't talk to a young lady like that.
You're gonna string in your pants, it's gonna have to come out. When you go through metal detector, you're gonna be screened by the nurse.
He started strangling me, so I hit him again.
Any mental health disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar, major depression. Or you have any suicide attempts?
Once.
Not thinking about suicide, right? When you attempted, how did you attempt?
Cutting. I feel like I could have a anger management temper problem because my buttons get pushed a lot.
Danielle is charged and told that she could receive up to a year for the assault of her brother.
Oh my gosh.
That's maximum. That doesn't mean
That's a long time. Thinking that I could be here for a year could blow a lot of dreams. Like going to school, having a family, settling down, just doing normal people things.
You're gonna enter the that wall right there. To the right.
I'm afraid of being in here because there are people who have seriously harmed somebody. I'm feeling distraught, confused, and kind of betrayed in a way. My mom had the nerve to get me in trouble. What I'm most scared about is that no one will be here for me when I get out.
Danielle was released 26 days later and is awaiting trial.
At this point during the day, it's a busy time in admissions because a lot of people are getting dressed in to their housing units. So everybody is filling up the admissions area, and the women that are in their street clothes are getting ready to be dressed in.
4 new inmates are about to be added to the docket.
Take a right.
I was at home in my pajamas, cleaning my house. There was a knock at the door. My sister came to me and stated, "The police are here." I'm Joellen. I'm 32 years old. I knew my son was in this room. The first thing that came to my mind was, I don't want my kid to see me get arrested.
Joellen just pled guilty for stealing money from her employer. Straight out of school, Joellen got a job working the front desk of a doctor's office.
Have a seat, please.
For 11 years, she and her employer enjoyed a close professional and personal relationship.
I babysat his children. I was there for family weddings. They were there for my family weddings.
According to Joellen, many years into her employment, several people were hired to handle the money.
It went to one person working a desk, and then when that person's shift changed, another person came along. And then when that person's shift changed, a third party was involved. The funds were transferred through many hands.
It wasn't long before she was fired and accused of stealing money from her employer.
I was just thinking it was some huge mistake. And once they started looking at paperwork, that it was going to make sense.
Please turn around and you need to take 2 photos. One I'm going to take with the glasses on, the next I'll take with them off. Take 1 step to your left, please. Who's that? Tag number.
The amount of money they say Joellen stole increased over time.
It went from $60,000 to $400,000 to $600,000. This was crazy, utterly ridiculous.
Left her here.
I spent 3 years trying to fight my case. My attorney passed away. That attorney was paid for by my mother selling her home.
Joellen felt that she was out of luck, out of money, and out of options. The court assigned her a public defender who advised her to take a plea, 28 years on probation and 2 years in jail.
It was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. The day I got the plea notice, we sat my son down and we told him, and he just cried. You have to remember he's a child. He's looking at this as a loss of his mom. First coming into the general population is extremely overwhelming. I decided that I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to think about my family. I was going to push that all down as far as possible. If I was going to go through this, it was going to be some dignity. Now, I don't lie in bed thinking, why me? I lie in bed praying for a miracle.
Coming up, will Joellen be able to adjust?
This seems like a weird dream.
Ma'am, do not spit like this.
Or crack under the pressure?
This is the worst.
And later,
One way is to describe jail, it's miserable. To think that I could die here, it's crazy.
for the women inmates, surviving on the inside is all about relationships.
Women will just immediately bond together. They will know each other for no more than 5 or 10 minutes, and they'll be sitting there, and all of a sudden they'll start braiding each other's hair.
Ladies, stand out for armband count.
Inmates are confined to their own cells for 20 hours a day, and romantic attachments are expressly forbidden.
Our inmates here are required to have an armband on their wrist at all times, and it's basically their ID while they're in jail. There have been times that inmates will try to sneak into another room. So what we do during an armband check is that A, you make sure everybody has an armband on, B, it's exactly who is supposed to be in there, and C, everybody's accounted for. It has a picture of them, it has their full name, date of birth, and their ID number. That is how we identify them.
For newbies like Joellen, these daily procedures take some getting used to.
You don't know how the guards are going to be. You don't know how your roommates are going to be. They don't tell you these things. What surprised me the most when I got here was the willingness of the other women to show me the ropes.
One of the inmates eager to help Joellen is her cellmate Tiffany, who knows quite a bit about jailhouse living.
Jail's like high drama. You know, people gossip, but you get to know some people in here, and you know some people who you can talk to and some people who you can't.
One person deputies are having trouble talking to is this inmate. She was brought in on a domestic dispute and is still agitated.
In this particular situation, the inmate wasn't really violent towards us. She was aggravated and banging on the glass. I entered into the cell. grabbed the individual's left arm and escorted her to the ground along with the other team members. She is restrained across her lap. Her hands are handcuffed down to her side. Her legs are handcuffed, and 2 straps come across her chest.
Oh, man, do not spit in my face.
Stop hurting me! It's to prevent them from harming themselves. In that situation, they can't really move around too much, so it does the job.
I don't shut up now. Y'all strap me and lock me down. You guys give me a shot I can pass out, please.
You can pound your fist against the wall and scream and be disrespectful to the guards, but all you're doing is making it worse. You have to make sure you pay attention. You want to make sure you know when your break time is, when it's time to eat, when you can get a shower. You have to learn all these things. You follow the clock.
You get really familiar with certain deputies in here. Like with one deputy, there's some things you can do, and there's one that you might have at night that does not like that.
Not go up those stairs.
So you have to get familiar with how the deputy likes to run their pods.
Step away from the door.
There's some wonderful people in here that have just made really bad choices.
All right, ladies, let's try this again. Step on out for chow.
I'm Tiffany, I'm 24, and I'm at Gwinnett County Detention Center.
Put me in that next for 24 hours.
Tiffany is days away from being released. The mother of 2 was initially arrested for shoplifting DVDs that she later sold to truck drivers.
Truck drivers love buying movies. They just advertise on the TV and they'll buy them.
Anyone interested in new DVDs? Over.
I could walk into a place and walk out with at least 10 movies at a time. And I had about 4,000 movies, and I guess I got a little too ahead of myself and thought I could just get away with it.
Tiffany thought she got arrested just for shoplifting.
They gave me my charge sheet, and it said shoplifting and robbery, and I was just devastated. I was like, what? I didn't rob anybody. And I'm like, oh gosh, that's prison sentence, I know it. Then I heard that there's a law library here. So I found the way they were describing robbery and realized that it was more of a theft by taking situation. Which then when my attorney finally did come and see me, I said, this is more of what I did. This is not robbery. And so he pointed it out in court. And I did drop it down to a theft by taking instead of a robbery. I was really happy that I was actually able to do that for myself. Do you ever think about going to like the law library and trying to research a case?
I don't know a lot about that or how it works.
It's like on Mondays and Tuesdays, I think they let you go. Maybe they do help. They help a lot.
Bring it back, sign the book for me.
Try this one. You basically just find the code. It'll save this stuff on your paperwork. And you just find the book with the offense. There's the theft. I don't see a theft by taking it. Let's see what it said under theft.
We're all here with a goal, and our goal is to get out.
You have to really put your foot down for yourself if you want to get out of here.
Tiffany claims that the first time she was jailed, it allowed her to escape an abusive relationship.
There was times where he would say, I'm about to throw you in the woods. You know, my daughter would freak out. I know what type of man I don't want, and I would never put myself back in that situation.
When Tiffany was released, her probation required her to remain in the state of Georgia.
I didn't live here, I didn't have no family here, nobody here to stay with, so I took off and I went back to my hometown. My daughter was only 2 years old at the time. She was my only child. I had to be with her. A friend of mine called the cops on me and told them that I had a warrant in Georgia, and they arrested me.
Now Tiffany is back behind bars, only this time she's pregnant.
Being pregnant and incarcerated is just miserable. We don't get any special treatment here. It really takes away a lot. You know, we have cravings that we want and we can't have. We get the same amount of food, but the only difference is we get a snack bag at night, which is just a sandwich and a fruit. I don't want my daughter and this baby to, ever have to go through rough and hard things that I did. I get out in 2 days, release me Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, so.
But getting out of jail is just the beginning. Coming up, Tiffany's pregnancy has life-threatening complications.
God gave me this child that I'm carrying now for a reason. You don't understand what I'm going through.
Plus,
I have been arrested 6 times. This time was for my 3rd DUI.
The Gwinnett County Detention Center is a huge place, 400 or 500 employees with 800 or 900 total within the county. It's like a city upon itself.
It's 8 a.m. Roll call, an opportunity for officers to hear what happened during the previous shift and prepare for what may happen during the next.
All right, just want to go over one thing. On these emergency response, whether it be a failure to comply or a signal 29 or anytime you need to go assist another deputy, it's like who should go. In admissions, the security people, you will go, but work it out so that we don't leave post abandoned. Let's go get it done, guys. Here's work.
I have been arrested 6 times. This time was for my 3rd DUI being a probation violation.
Alyssa, a 25-year-old mother, is brought in through the fortified entrance known as the Sally Port.
I was drunk and I was driving home. Saw the blue lights and instantly felt like I was about to throw up. I knew exactly what was about to happen. But you know what? You see these people on TV getting patted down and I feel violated. Walking into the holding cell and having a toilet in the middle of the room with no door, male guards walking back and forth, it's a very degrading feeling. My best friend passed away in 2007 due to driving drunk home. Instead of it being a wake-up call, I actually plunged deeper into alcohol. I feel like she's died for no reason.
While Alyssa contemplates her regrets, Amanda, another young mother, is brought in for violating her probation.
It's a scary place to jail. You don't want to be here, but I know eventually I'm going home. They can't keep me forever.
Amanda, 31 years old, was initially arrested for writing bad checks.
Did you handle the walk-away? I got behind in my fines and restitution, and they violated my probation.
Face the camera.
Well, I've been arrested a few times in the past. After you've been through it once, you get used to it.
Go all the way around, go inside that door that's marked.
Alyssa and Amanda, 2 young mothers, 2 different stories.
All right, ladies, this is part of your booking process where you will be showered in. You will receive a uniform, 3 pair of panties, and 3 bras. I need you to get in, take a shower, come out.
I have a son that depends on me now. He's 16 months old. Missing any moment of his life tears me up.
You're gonna go to your left, you're going to cell 8.
I have a 5 and a 2-year-old son. It's not fair to them.
How many kids do you have? 2. Are you just upset because you're not with them?
Yeah.
Me too. It must be really hard on you having one that's kind of old enough to know what's...
Yeah, we like him. At least yours is young enough to wear.
Yeah, he doesn't know what's going on. He knows mommy's not there, though.
Come on.
Amanda enters the general population first.
They don't have me at home. They have to be shipped into another house, and like everything for them changes.
Alyssa follows right behind her.
You ready to go? So you could be facing over a year, right?
I guess so. Being in a cell is very hard. As you can imagine, staring at these 4 walls all day, every day, can get quite depressing at times. Very lonely place. Very uncomfortable place.
It's hard to climb up on it when you're short. You have to climb up on the table. The top bunk sucks because it's hard to make up your bed.
Amanda was sentenced to 15 days and released.
This is it. This is my last time. I won't even drive through Gwinnett County ever again. I won't be back in Gwinnett for anything.
Alyssa was sentenced to 229 days, but will only have to serve half the time by court order.
To stay connected with my son, I will definitely call every day. Seeing him behind glass and him reaching for me would be way too hard. And I don't want him to see me in here. This has got to stop. It's definitely got to stop.
It's a brand new day. The inmates of Cell Block 6 get 20 minutes to eat their meals.
This is egg a la carte, which means everything on the cart is in this egg. My name is Deidre, I'm 22 years old, and I'm at Gwinnett County Jail.
Deidre is being held for violating probation on an armed robbery charge. If convicted, she can face up to 30 years behind bars.
Honestly, I've seen more than what somebody in 40 years of life has seen. And it wouldn't have been that way if I would have just listened to my parents. I grew up in a hardworking family. I was the oldest. I was supposed to set the example. I was expected, to go to college, get my degree, be successful. It started getting really bad when I went to college. I went from being an A-B student to getting C's and D's. I went from never drinking a day in my life to drinking every day. That's an issue. I do feel that the struggles with my sexuality did have something to do with the fact that I was drinking and also my rebellion. My parents are all involved in the church, and homosexuality is not accepted. You don't want to hurt your parents. You don't want to hurt your family. You don't want to be, oh, that's such the gay one. All we do is stay fly, all day, all night. People misunderstand me sometimes because they see me chilling with somebody or something like that. It happens all the time. But I'm quick to set them straight.
Deidre's friendship with Jenna, her cellmate, is grist for the rumor mill, and rumors carry consequences in jail.
Inmates were not allowed into another inmate's cell for various reasons, but I think for the most part, there could be some form of relationship going on. They will get a major violation entering another inmate's cell, and that's disciplinary. It's just not permitted.
Coming up, Deidre is caught off guard by her fellow inmates. And later, an inmate loses control. Deidre violated probation on her theft charge. After waiting 5 months in jail for a court appearance, she sounds like a veteran inmate.
Being a lesbian in jail, chapter 1, girl power. It's easy with the inmates. I'll just let my cards do the talking when I kick your butt. You're talking to my girlfriend. I didn't know she was your girlfriend. Well, what are you doing with my girlfriend? Just talking to your girlfriend. We've gotten a little sisterly bond.
She's more like the bigger brother that's very protective.
People misunderstand me sometimes because they see me chilling with somebody. That happens all the time. But 9 times out of 10, I don't have any issues because I don't care.
But the deputies do care. Inmates found to be in a sexual relationship are immediately separated. Some are confined to maximum isolation, or IMAX, for 30 days.
It's hard with the officers. The officers have to scold you because of it. Basically put it in your face that it won't be allowed here.
Your bin needs to be out with the top open so I can see inside the bin.
Jenna has been Deidre's cellmate for the last few weeks, but it's a temporary arrangement. The 21-year-old mother is waiting to be transferred to a state penitentiary.
I don't want to go to prison, Prison, to me, sounds scary. Pretty girls don't go to prison, right? My biggest fear will be getting my teeth busted out of my mouth. I know how my mouth is, and I know that I'm not going to let people push me over.
14 months ago, Jenna and her boyfriend were arrested for being involved in a stolen car raid.
My responsibility for the stolen cars was to find customers to take parts off the cars. We actually made very good money selling stolen car parts. My first car I stole was a van. It was an old Humpty Dumpty van. Oh my God. And it was terrible. If you see me driving around a van.
Police almost arrested Jenna a week earlier during a routine traffic stop, but she took off, nearly killing the officer who stopped her.
I never meant anyone any harm, I know I was being selfish by running from the cops and going so fast and driving on the wrong side of the road, which was very selfish of me, but I definitely wasn't in the right state of mind. I was 14 years old when I first tried methamphetamines. I stayed up 8 days straight. I hallucinated really bad. It was terrible. But for some reason, I kept doing it.
Jenna's addiction to meth continued for 6 years. She didn't stop using the drug until the day she was arrested.
It definitely took over my life. I was high every day. And I was doing so much drugs, I looked like I was dying. My cheeks are sunken. That makes my eyes are really black. I just look sick. I would describe myself as like a walking corpse.
Today, Jenna faces up to 2 years in prison and 6 months in a drug rehab program.
I just gotta keep my mind focused.
And to help inmates like Jenna stay focused, Gwinnett County has an inmate worker program. These are highly sought-after positions, because they allow inmates extra time outside of their cells.
There's a lot of jealous people in here. They'll do whatever they can, step on whoever they can to get to that position. You know, so I won't let anybody jeopardize my job.
I've got 4 female unit workers. They do a number of things from passing out food at chow, cleaning, vacuuming, wiping the tables. They pass out personals. They do the laundry exchange. They know the rules. If they do anything wrong, they can be hired and fired by any deputy at any time.
I went to court the other day. They did accuse me of stealing money from the store, and yes, I did do it.
Deidre got 2 years in prison and could be out on parole in 1 year.
In order for you to basically get over things, you have to admit that you did them. Then say I didn't do it when I know I did, because then I'm making myself out to be a liar, and that I choose not to be. I came in the room and this was on my bed. I also got this from my bestest friend in all the world, Jenna.
Oh my God.
It's your birthday. Yeah, I know it sucks being in here, but at least you're spending it with people that love you. Next year, me, you, Sin, and hopefully Lisa will be celebrating all of our birthdays together at the club. True, real friends aren't found everywhere. Love always, Ginger. No tears. No tears. There will be no tears. Continue.
An hour later, Sarah and Jenna make a cake for Deidre's birthday.
I believe it will be cupcakes, candy bars, hot cocoa, and duplex cookies.
I am the official cake baker, birthday cake maker. I am scraping the icing out of the middle of the cookies so that we can make the actual icing for the cake.
I'm finally learning how to cook.
Good stuff. They're really, really good, actually. This is the icing that I'm making.
She's got a very nice.
And here you have it. Jailhouse ingenuity at its finest. We call her Lex, so that's why it's in the shape of an L. This is a quick, fast, and in a hurry ghetto jail cake.
It's time for the celebration.
It's hard finding people that you can connect with. Then when you finally do, even with all the confrontation going on and all the drama that goes on within this place, when you finally find somebody you can connect with, it's something special. Thank you, y'all. Appreciate it. My dad. Thank you. Appreciate it. If I didn't have the support of my family, I would probably go crazy. When you get a letter from your parents in the mail saying how much they love you and how much they support you through all the trials and tribulations you're going through at that time, that's what really keeps your spirits up. That's what really keeps you sane in a place like this.
Okay, ladies, I need y'all to take it down a little bit more. Take it down.
Jenna.
Yes.
Hold on. I use my music to help me pass the time in here. What you think of this? Said I'm gonna let you go, but I want you to know that I love you. Somebody loves you, baby. You like that?
I like it. It sounds good.
Does it for real?
It does sound good.
It's gonna be like an emotional song type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like from past experiences. My life on the outside is kind of difficult right now. People who I dealt with on the outside, who I thought were my friends, they're the people who left me the first week I was in here. So I'm gonna let you go, but I want you to know that I love you. You like it?
Somebody loves you, baby.
Yeah, you like it.
I like it. It sounds really good.
Coming up, a night of partying leads to a night in the tank.
Being the holder, so it's kind of like you just know that you're at rock bottom. Put it out, put it out.
And later, Tiffany reveals a deadly secret that could affect her pregnancy.
To think that I could die is crazy.
At 10 p.m., a woman is brought in on a charge of disorderly conduct. Instead of being processed, she's immediately placed in a holding cell.
She was somewhat unruly, so we tried to have her calm down for a while before we tried to deal with her.
Man, go and sit down on the bench. Go and sit back down on that bench and stay out of this doorway. Do not hit the door again, or we'll be coming to use force against you.
Man, listen. You listening to me? You're not listening. You can't bang like that.
At first, we just sort of do a planned ignore.
Okay, you're right. Okay.
Okay. If you continue to be on the door, we're going to restrain you in a restraint chair. Have a seat. The female is back in pre-admissions. Let's go ahead and get some video footage of her. If it continues, then we'll put it in restraint chair. All right. Okay.
We always videotape anyone to see what was actually done to have to subdue them.
She really wasn't hitting the glass enough to be put in the chair. So I went back there and tried to talk to her, calm her down. Why are you beating on my glass?
My rights have been violated. I want to phone call.
Once you calm down, you will get one. She was just pretty much being annoying. That's why I'm trying to expedite her out of here to get rid of her.
And now we just had to switch cameras, so we'll put it in camera.
After a few hours of cooling her heels, the woman is finally brought to processing.
Yes, we got it.
She's anxious to make her phone call so that she can be bailed out.
Listen to me, man. I know all about it. I'm a teacher.
Listen to me. Once you talk to the booking team, get your fingerprint, you can make your phone call. You're going to go to the metal detector?
I see her.
The woman walks past the metal detector and is called back. Next, she goes through the medical check.
What do you drink? Wine. How often? The last was here Friday. What was the last one we drank? What day is today? At the bottom of this minute.
After waiting overnight in a holding cell, the woman was released on $450 bond.
How much?
11:30 p.m. Another woman enters through the sally port.
Do what the deputies tell you.
We were about to fight these girls at a party.
Alexis is a 19-year-old college student. She was arrested for fighting at a club.
And the bouncer alerted police officers. They searched the car. They found marijuana in my car. I would say that I'm a bad person, just tend to make wrong decisions sometimes.
For everyone, we check to see if they have any hair extensions. That female inmate, she had in a quick weave, but I needed to get a picture in her natural state.
Being pat down, I do feel it is degrading. Makes you feel like you're not really a human being, you're just a person that they own.
Because of her clothing, it was revealing.
I am studying fashion merchandising.
She had on a see-through blouse and her shorts were extremely short.
I've always wanted to be a fashion editor or a stylist. It's always been fashion.
She was placed in a county-issued uniform. We don't want other male inmates on the other side of the facility to see what she's wearing, get excited, start hollering through the glass, and cause a disruption.
Cut it out. Knock it off, man, knock it off. I'm worried because I'm in college. If they find out about this, I could be expelled. I have class tomorrow, so if I don't make it, I don't know.
Get off you!
Suddenly, a team of deputies bring in a woman who refuses to be fingerprinted. She begins to rant incoherently.
What you're looking at is an inmate that has had added charges brought to them. She had to be fingerprinted so we could get her to court on time. In this case, she becomes overly aggressive. So obviously she has two hands loose, she has her head loose. We have to control those.
It's all about the random. They don't care about these things. That if you have a real problem in the daily life on a greater plane of Philadelphia.
That was the urgency of having to use force. It was for her benefit more than anything else.
Come with me.
Being the holder, so it's kind of like you just know that you're at rock bottom.
Gonna go out and go all the way around.
Hey, if you'll stand right here in that yellow square for me. This is your paperwork, your bond amount. Tonight is $580 possession of.
Alexis is charged with possession of less than an ounce of marijuana.
Can I ask you a question? The bond amount?
2 hours later, her mother paid the bond and Alexis was released.
I'm very happy that I'm able to make it to school tomorrow.
Back in cell block 6, while Joellen gets some shut-eye, her cellmate Tiffany is restless. She's days away from leaving, and her life is at a major crossroads.
God gave me, this child that I'm carrying now for a reason. I'm not probably going to be able to have any more children after this. When I was pregnant with my daughter and I had my pap smear, they diagnosed me with cervical cancer. I I've already had a rough pregnancy with this one. You know, I almost lost the baby within the first few months I was pregnant.
Flex your arm.
I don't want it to affect the baby or my health any further than it already has. They told me that the best solution would be to have a hysterectomy. To think that I could die before I'm even old is crazy. One way just to describe jail, it's not a place you want to be. It takes your life away from you. One little mistake and it could be the end of your life. I've made a lot of bad choices. You know, I shoplifted, I went back and forth in stupid relationships, and I've grown from it.
When Tiffany is released, she will face the same problem as last time. She has nowhere to go.
I was scared to even walk out of the jail because I didn't know what was going to happen.
She cannot leave the state of Georgia to be with her daughter in New Mexico.
I am excited about getting out, but I'm really nervous too because I'm here in Georgia and I don't really have any money right now. I don't really know what's going to happen.
Coming up, on top of being pregnant and fighting cancer.
A friend of mine told me that you guys have helped other people before staying in a hotel.
Will Tiffany now also be homeless?
I don't have one. It's kind of throwing a 2-year-old out in the street and expecting it to find its way. I didn't sleep very well last night.
Tiffany is 6 months pregnant and has cervical cancer. She's hours away from being released.
They're going to be here about 7-ish, so I just don't know where I'm going yet. When I get out of here, I'm hoping that I can contact this church a girl in here told me about that will possibly pay for 2 weeks for me to stay in a hotel and they help me with food and stuff. I'm praying to God that that's an option and that they really will help me. All laundry stays here. So sheets, blanket, any socks, you can keep on laundry, everything you have on. Okay? Thank you. Hi, Joe. I was wanting to see you before I left you. I said, oh, I didn't even tell Miss Kay bye. And I said, oh, she'll be here Saturday morning, so I'll need to tell her bye. Good luck with that baby. Don't come back. I learned to never say never, but I really felt time if not letting me come back.
General Central Control, that's going to be greenhouse in Alabama, emissions.
I'm nervous, but I know something will work out, so. A friend of mine told me, because I'm not from here, I live in New Mexico, and she told me that you guys would help me, possibly that she knew that you guys had helped other people before staying in a hotel for like 2 weeks. They said that they don't have the resources right now to help, so. Do you have any plan B? Not really. I'm just going to have to probably go to a shelter.
Everything you want to take home, you can have. Everything else goes in the trash, all right? I need to ban total.
It's kind of throwing a 2-year-old out in the street and expecting it to find its way. But, you know, I know God's got me. He's going to help me. I don't have one, but I was telling a friend of mine last night how, you know, you should be excited to leave jail. I'm nervous. I'd rather kind of stay just because I knew where I was going to sleep.
See your paperwork, please. Put your key set in here, beside it. Here we go. Just exit to the right.
My name's Tiffany, and I'm 6 months pregnant, and I'm not from Georgia. I'm actually from New Mexico. I just was recently released from Gwinnett County Jail, and I don't have nowhere to go. Somebody told me that you guys help people because I have no family or nowhere to go here, and I'm actually sitting out in the lobby with nowhere to go. All right, well, thank you. Bye. Well, she said they have beds available, but it's just she can't get me there, so I have to figure out a way to get there. It's different. This is crazy. I haven't been outside in 5 months, so this is really crazy to actually see something.
On this episode of Cell Block 6.
I would rather deal with 150 men than 3 women.
An angry young woman pays the price for a hot temper.
He started strangling me, so I went at him.
In jail and with child.
Being pregnant and incarcerated is just miserable. We have cravings that we want and we can't have.
A young mother addicted and behind bars again.
I have been arrested 6 times. This time was for my 3rd DUI.
While a promising young college student struggles with her sexuality.
It's a sin, but I can only be what I am.
We're all here with a goal. And our goal is to get out.
It's midnight. Ground zero at Georgia's Gwinnett County Jail. Every year, more than 7,000 women are processed here.
Don't move, don't blink.
You're not hitting the door again, or we'll be coming any force against you. If you come off that wall, I will take you.
The women incarcerated here ran away from somewhere. They're charged with everything from shoplifting to murder and can stay for a day or years. This is a place where the future looks good, only if no one remembers the past.
I'm Butch Conway, the Gwinnett County, Georgia Sheriff.
It's a little harder to supervise female inmates. There are a lot of temper problems.
Okay, I'm not the one who did this to you. You did this to yourself.
I didn't do anything to myself.
Okay,
Don't tell me
that's
what
fine.
I did to
You'll
myself.
have a
I didn't
chance.
do anything.
You'll have a
It's
chance.
melatonin. Look it up.
They gossip,
Yeah, she's good.
talk.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me, man.
Yeah, I know all about it.
I would rather deal with 150 men than 3 women.
Ma'am, do not spit it like this.
It seems like they're just not happy unless there's something going on. Occasionally, situations arise where deputies have to step in and take control of the situation. An inmate can be very unpredictable. Things can go bad very quickly. The most emotional time for any inmate is the first 72 hours. They're walking into a holding cell where they think everybody in there is a monster.
Jail's like high school. It's drama.
And the drama begins the moment an inmate arrives. It's 2 a.m. Police just answered a call about a domestic disturbance.
I'm Danielle. I am 21 years old. I have a lesson to learn.
Her mother called police after Danielle attacked her brother.
Turn around and face the way home. Oh. Anything sharp, you're gonna hold me, sit and cut me.
My little brother and I were fighting, and he was cussing at me and started calling me names, so I went at him. You know, you don't talk to a young lady like that.
You got a string in your pants, it's gonna have to come out. When you go to another test, you're gonna be screened by the nurse.
He started strangling me, so I hit him again.
Any mental health disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar, major depression. Do you have any suicide attempts?
Not thinking about suicide, right? When you attempted, how did you attempt?
I feel like I could have a anger management temper problem because my buttons get pushed a lot.
Danielle is charged and told that she could receive up to a year for the assault of her brother.
Oh my gosh. That's
That doesn't mean
That's a long time. Thinking that I could be here for a year could blow a lot of dreams. Like going to school, having a family, settling down, just doing normal people things.
You're gonna enter a settlement wall right there, to the right.
I'm afraid of being in here because there are people who have seriously harmed somebody. I'm feeling distraught, confused, and kind of betrayed in a way. My mom had the nerve to get me in trouble. What I'm most scared about is that nobody will be here for me when I get out.
Danielle was released 26 days later and is awaiting trial.
At this point during the day, it's a busy time in admissions because a lot of people are getting dressed in to their housing units. So everybody is filling up the admissions area, and the women that are in their street clothes are getting ready to be dressed in.
4 new inmates are about to be added to the docket.
Take a right.
I was at home in my pajamas cleaning my house. There was a knock at the door. My sister came to me and stated, "The police are here." I'm Joellen. I'm 32 years old. I knew my son was in this room. The first thing that came to my mind was, I don't want my kid to see me get arrested.
Joellen just pled guilty for stealing money from her employer. Straight out of school, Joellen got a job working the front desk of a doctor's office. For 11 years, she and her employer enjoyed a close professional and personal relationship.
I babysat his children. I was there for family weddings. They were there for my family weddings.
According to Joellen, many years into her employment, several people were hired to handle the money.
It went to one person working a desk, and then when that person's shift changed, another person came along. And then when that person's shift changed, a third party was involved. The funds were transferred through many hands.
It wasn't long before she was fired and accused of stealing money from her employer.
I was just thinking it was some huge mistake. And once they started looking at paperwork, that it was going to make sense.
Please turn around and you take 2 photos. One I'll take with the glasses on, the next I'll take with them off. Take 1 step to your left, please. Who's that? Tag number.
The amount of money they say Joellen stole increased over time.
It went from $60,000 to $400,000 to $600,000. This was crazy, utterly ridiculous. Left her here. I spent 3 years trying to fight my case. My attorney passed away. That attorney was paid for by my mother selling her home.
Joellen felt that she was out of luck, out of money, and out of options. The court assigned her a public defender who advised her to take a plea, 28 years on probation and 2 years in jail.
It was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. The day I got the plea notice, we sat my son down and we told him, and he just cried. You have to remember he's a child. He's looking at this as the loss of his mom. First coming into the general population is extremely overwhelming. I decided that I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to think about my family. I was going to push that all down as far as possible. If I was going to go through this, there was going to be some dignity. Now, I don't lie in bed thinking, why me? I lie in bed praying for a miracle.
Coming up, will Joellen be able to adjust?
It seems like a weird dream.
Ma'am, do not spit like this.
Or crack under the pressure?
This is the worst.
And later,